The latest international break is upon us, and his team set out one last time to get their squads ready for the upcoming European Championships and vie for greatness. We examined the 5 greatest national teams of the past 30 years. Hi guys, this is Rob for the Football Forecast, and coming in at number 5 on our list is the most recent entry, which is France between 2016 and 2018. So this French team had it all. They had an incredible manager, Didier Deschamps, who won the World Cup himself as captain in 1998. They had a team littered with stars. They had the likes of Lloris, Kimpembe, and Pogba, Giroud, and an upcoming Mbappe. In European Championships in 2016, they hosted the championships and were heavily favoured to win the tournament before it started. They played beautiful football the whole way through, but unfortunately they came unstuck in the final against Portugal. It was Ronaldo's crowning moment, and they conceded an extra time goal from Eder. This was not to dampen the French spirits as they went into Russia in 2018 in confident form, coming through their knockout stages quite easily to qualify for the tournament. The French had something to prove after losing in the final of the European Championships at home, and prove it they did. They came through the tournament playing beautiful, calm, collected football. Deschamps kept them playing in the way that he wanted to, and they met Croatia in the final and they ran out comfortable winners 4-2. In my opinion, they're the first really viral team, and that was met with the iconic song Ramenez à la Coupe de la Maison, which was played in the French stadium after they won the World Cup, and viral all over the world now. The team went on to do well in the World Cup. They reached the final, but again they were unstuck this time, and this time it was by Messi. The team has since disbanded somewhat. Certain players have not been chosen for the French squad, and certain players are still in the squad. It was really the making of Mbappe, who now is arguably the greatest player in world football. Coming in at number 4 is the Germany team from the 2014 World Cup. I know what you're thinking. This team has to be in there for one reason alone. They beat Brazil 7-1 in Brazil. But before we get to that, some of the great players that they had: Müller, Neuer, Boateng, Toni Kroos, Mats Hummels, the list goes on. Under manager Joachim Löw, they played a well-structured style of play. They set up well, and they were very hard to break down. Going into the tournament, they weren't one of the favourites, but they showed early on that they were well capable of going deep into this tournament. Their crowning moment came as they beat Brazil 7-1 in the semi-final, which was one of the most shocking moments in football history. They went on to the final where they met King Lionel Messi, and after an edgy game, they finished 0-0. It went into extra time, and a young man by the name of Mario Götze stuck up and he won the game for the Germans. This was a huge victory for Germany back home, and it was their 4th World Cup. This German team suffered the fate of many other World Cup winning teams, whereby they went to the 2018 World Cup and they actually got knocked out in the group stages. So the World Cup curse for World Cup winners was at hand for this German team. Many of the players now are well into their 30s, and the German team is looking at resetting and rejuvenating with younger players, and we will have to wait and see how that gets on. That's not to take away from this German team, who beat Brazil and Messi's Argentina en route to a very famous World Cup victory. Coming in at number 3 is the France team from 1998 until 2000. One word to describe this team: Zidane. In my opinion, the greatest midfield player that's ever played. But it wasn't just all about Zidane, was it? They had an array of brilliant talent to choose from. Their captain Didier Deschamps, an up-and-coming Thierry Henry, a young David Trezeguet, Marcel Desailly, Fabien Barthez, that madman, was in goal. The France team going into the 1998 World Cup were expected to win, for the simple reason as they were the home team. Now, they went through the group stages quite comfortably once again before they were met in the final by the other favourite team, which was Brazil. The final is shrouded in controversy as Ronaldo had an epileptic fit earlier that morning and was deemed not fit to play. However, hours before the game, Ronaldo put himself into the limelight and wanted to play the game. That didn't deter the French whatsoever. They went into the game and they played beautiful, elegant football, winning 3-0. 2 goals coming from Zidane, both headers, and the Brazilians were killed off by an Emmanuel Petit solo goal. This wasn't the end of this French team. They went on to Euro 2000 once again as the favourites, and they were victorious in Euro 2000. Zidane had arguably one of the greatest displays of all time against Portugal, where he ripped players such as Figo to complete and absolute shreds. This French team was so good they had a Ballon d'Or winner, you guessed it, it was Zidane in 1998. This team once again suffered the World Cup curse in 2002 in Korea and Japan, where they were knocked out of the group stages. The team would then disband afterwards, with Zidane eventually retiring in 2006 in that infamous incident with Materazzi. Players like Henry and Trezeguet went on to have brilliant careers, but this French team peaked between 98 and 2000 before a complete reset after the 2006 World Cup. This French team were not only good on the field, they were also brilliant off the field. They broke barriers for racial grounds. As France was a quite segregated country at the time, it was a place where people from different ethnicities could come to the fore. It is estimated that over 50% of the French team had African background, and for this team to come together and win the World Cup, it united the French people who were in a rocky stage at their country and their leadership at the time. Coming in number 2, the second greatest national team of the last 30 years was the classic Spanish team of 2008 until 2012. They done this three-peat. They won the European Championships in 2008, they won the World Cup in 2010, and they won the European Championships again in 2012. What made this Spanish team so great? Well, they started off with Luis Aragonés, who brought in the tiki-taka style of play. That would later influence Pep Guardiola, and a lot of the team would be in his Barcelona side that were going to dominate football for the next 5 to 10 years. The Spanish played a pressing style of football, whereas if they would lose the ball, the golden rule was they would win it back within 8 seconds or they would sit off. And they had just the squad to do it. David Villa, Fernando Torres, Cesc Fabregas, Xavi, Iniesta, met with a very solid defence, Sergio Ramos, Carlos Puyol. This team had it all, and they kept going for 6 years, winning 3 championships back to back. Unfortunately, that Spanish team once again suffered the World Cup curse in 2014, where they were knocked out of the group stage. But their lasting legacy would be the tiki-taka football that Aragonés and later Vicente del Bosque would bring into these tournaments, and that is the football that most teams play to this day. And number 1, the greatest national team of the last 30 years. It is Brazil, and we're going to look at it. Brazil from 1997. Brazil won the Copa America in 1997, they backed it up in 1999, and they went on to win the World Cup in 2002. They had some of the greatest players that have ever put on a football shirt. Ronaldinho, Romario, Cafu, Rivaldo, Roberto Carlos, Dida, and in my opinion, the greatest footballer that's ever lived, Ronaldo. After back-to-back Copa America victories, Brazil went into the 2002 World Cup quite hurt. They lost in the final of 1998 after Ronaldo had suffered a fit earlier on in that day, and they were out for revenge in 2002. Now, after more or less 2 years out of the game, Ronaldo came back and just about made the squad in time. They eased through the group stages and the knockout rounds before they reached the final, where they faced a dogged German side. And who could forget that Ronaldo goal where Oliver Kahn slipped the ball and Ronaldo put it past him, but also Ronaldinho's goal against England. Did he mean it? Ronaldinho claims he did, and judging by his genius, it's not out of the way to say that he didn't mean that. This Brazil team would go on to win the 2004 Copa America once again, and they didn't suffer the World Cup curse at this time. In 2006, they got to the quarterfinals before losing 1-0 to a Thierry Henry French goal. This Brazil team was so good it brought upon 3 Ballon d'Or winners, Ronaldo twice and Rivaldo once again. This Brazilian team was so special because it made a lot of people from my generation fall in love with football. The saying Joga Bonito came from this Brazil team, and of course those classic Nike adverts in the cage with all the Brazilian players. It just brings back so much nostalgia right now to have this Brazil team as the greatest of all time. Who do you think was the greatest national team in the last 30 years? Leave your opinions below in the comments, and we'll see you again soon.